Today I'm going to talk about something that I learned over the weekend. And this all stems from my previous video. So the video that caused hoopla was my honest reaction to hearing a story about Dr. Imani Perry of Princeton University being arrested for a 3-year-old, I think it's a parking ticket or a speeding ticket, by police. And it was just my initial frustrations. After, I did it the same day I heard it, and I was already just on edge. And I mentioned just how the story made me think about how the American dream that people try to feed every single person that is in this country, that you can, you just fly right and, do your job and work hard and go to school and you will be respected and will get all the things that everyone else has the right to, but yet you can be like me, a young black professor, female professor, and still have to worry about possible police impropriety or brutality or just mess. And in the case of Imani Perry, I changed my mind about it. I was like, okay, the police thankfully followed procedures, as you can see from the dash cam video, which I did not watch because I just don't have an interest in dash cam videos, because the last one I watched involved the murder of Laquan McDonald, and so I'm just not interested anymore. It's just making my blood boil, and ain't nobody paying for me to have some kind of massive stroke except for myself. So I decided not to, but I did leave it up even after I changed my mind, because I was not only just talking about that issue, but talking about my frustrations with our broken, criminal justice system, and particularly the absolutely broken relationship between the police and the black community and the brown communities and just any community that is non-white. And so I left it up so I could have dialogue with, whoever watches it about the matter. And of course, and maybe not even of course, but I really didn't expect the response that I got. I received some extremely racist and racially charged comments on the video, and you can check it out for yourself. I left it there. And I actually did try to, and it wasn't all the comments. There was a lot more racially charged ones, but and just plain out racist ones, proud and just strong and wrong in their ignorance and racism. But they have a right to, and social media makes it easy for, as I learned, for racists to just be wrong and strong in their racism. And I'm sure they probably will be looking at this video like, there she goes again, race baiting. I didn't know that talking about race is actually race baiting, because it's not like I am trying to bait somebody or lead somebody or trap somebody into a conversation about race. The conversation that I had about the Imani Perry incident is not devoid of race. Race played a very important part of the whole experience, because for Imani Perry, she really did have anxiety and fear based off of previous, not even previous, but recent incidents of between the police, and not particularly the Princeton police, but between the police and black women and just black people in general in America in the past, let's just say 2 years, let's say since the beginning of 2015. And so I left it up there to talk to some people, and some people, we had a very healthy dialogue, and I talked about, in the video, I will say that I didn't overreact, because I don't take back my initial reaction, because that was my reaction. When a baby trips and they really didn't hurt themselves and they start to cry, you don't, chastise the child or scold them for crying initially, because that was their first reaction. Maybe after the fact they realize it wasn't that bad and they don't do anything. And so for the people that engaged in conversation with me, and we kind of ended our conversation with a mutual understanding of each other's sides, thank you very much. There was a few of them. But after a while, I had to remove myself from the conversation and had to actually take off my notifications, because there were some people that just were coming in and just automatically making very stereotypical, prejudiced, racist comments that had nothing to do with the subject matter. So someone started talking about, that's why, that's the black privilege, is being able to cry racism. And I was like, what the hell? How is being subject to racism and possibly having to always interrogate every single interaction with people, particularly white people, based off of the history of this country, for racist activity? Is this because this person is this way, or are they treating me differently because I'm black? But apparently that is a privilege. It's not a privilege. It's not a privilege to me, not at all. I think a privilege is being able to vote and being able to have free speech and, being able to kind of live in a world where I have many rights that in some countries and in different times I would not have. And so those are privileges, but, saying that crying racism is a black privilege is just ridiculous. And I actually had to call somebody on, like, well, white privilege then is having the ability to not have to ever worry about being potentially discriminated against because of your race. So it must be nice to never have to worry about it and don't have the opportunity to cry race. Although in this day and age, there are plenty of white people that are crying race, particularly when they do not get their way in a job or in getting admitted to a school, which is what they usually, for those who, not all white people, but people who seem to have certain ideas about black people and about race in America and about affirmative action, and want to say that, well, this is what people are saying, that, you cry racism when you don't get a job or don't get a promotion or don't get into the school you want to, but yet Abigail Fisher, who is a very pale white female young woman, sued the University of Texas because she said that they didn't let her in because she was white. Although she could have gotten in just based off of merit, but she didn't have the grades to do so. And so her only recourse was to cry racism. Cry racism. I don't know how you can cry racism. You can call out racism. You can, well, that's besides the point. We're not getting into words. But in some of them, I try to engage them in their ignorance and try to say my piece and have them say their piece. And, even if they left, still with their particular thoughts about black people and the situation I was talking about, then that would be fine as long as they, didn't get super disrespectful. What really surprised me was how many people just felt that, one, again, I said, black privilege is being able to cry racism, so weird. And that, two, black people are race baiters, particularly me, which I am not. And I think some of them don't even know what race baiting is, or even read the disclaimer I put on my video that said it was my initial frustration that I left it up to have a discussion about race. And three, that by ignoring race, that all problems related to it will go away. Even one person claiming to be a black man tried to tell me that Ferguson and everything else was crap, and it makes black people look for handouts when, and then tried to tell me that a police kill more white people than black people. And I just had to stop talking to this person because obviously they were wrong and strong in their ignorance, because if police really were killing more white people, it definitely would be on the news. I mean, not like everything's on the news, but there would have been somewhat of an outcry. You would have heard it in your local news, your local newspapers. You would have seen it on Facebook, Twitter, all of these media sources that we have. You would find it, and you would see it in the numbers. You don't see it in the numbers. And if in case that it does happen, I'm pretty sure that the percentage of people killed by police officers, the percentage of unarmed people killed by police officers is definitely, the percentage is definitely larger for those who are black males. But the major thing I learned is that, pretty much you cannot, there's a line. There's the educator in me and the opinionated person in me, and just, the educated person in me, educated and the educator in me just cannot deal with people living in ignorance. And for example, I said in a video, I hate stupid people. I really just hate, not stupid people, but stupidity. People who are just happy in their ignorance, wrong and strong in that ignorance. And I learned that, some people you can try to have a dialogue if they're open to it, and others you can't. That there are people who are just happy to be absolutely racist. And one person who used very politically correct words to tell me that he, as a European, does not want to be around black people or see them because he does not fully see them as human. And I was like, well, can't really say anything to that because you don't think I'm human, so I can't really talk to you. And so it was just very eye-opening, and I'm happy that I actually made the decision to pull myself out of the conversation because it was only making my blood pressure go up. And, for those who are on there and still continuing to comment on my page, that racism is not dead. We're not making this stuff up. And I'm definitely, for those special people that decided to just be so wrong and strong in their racism and hiding behind fake pictures of socks and blank pictures and fake names, I am going to be screenshotting all of your comments and showing them to my students. I think it's great for them to be able to see that I'm just not pulling it out of nowhere. You guys know me. I'm not telling you a story that I can't show you actual receipts with. I'm actually going to show them the comments that I received from people who try to call me a fuck up and a retard and mentally challenged, all that stuff, when I definitely do have a high school degree, 2 college educated parents who do work professional jobs. I have a degree from an Ivy League. I have a bachelor's degree from an Ivy League school, a master's in sociology, and also a PhD in sociology and Africana studies. So when I'm talking about race and talking about social factors and trying to have an actual conversation with people about the things that are really affecting this country, I am not pulling it out of my ass, and I'm definitely not just speaking for speaking's sake. This is something that I do, something I'm passionate about, and something I'm very well read on. So trying to come at me with your just random, pulled out of nowhere data, as I said to some of them, show me the stats. I deal in facts and stats, and I'm not going to deal with people's random nonsense and make-believe thoughts. So pick up a book, go to your local library, and educate yourself. Or you can just ask me, and I'll give you the advice for free that my students have to actually pay for. All right, guys, let me know what you have to think. Share it if you want to, so we can actually talk to each other and see how we can actually try to resolve some of these issues and try to understand each other better. All right, guys, see you later. I have to get that off my chest. Bye-bye.